We have some witnesses. Senator Vidak, would you please have them? If you could please state your name and brief comments. Whoever wants to go first.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, thank you.
My name is John Toss. Reside in Hanford, California, and our family farms in Fresno and Kings County. And our lives changed in January of 2010 when we were informed that the rail would be going through 7 of our properties. And so in the last 5 years or so, we've been dealing with this. But the issue now comes down to we are not being talked to about the pertinent issues that involves our ranches. And the very first ranch that they sent a proposal out or an offer, and we had never been talked to before. And according to Mr. Morales, there's a lot of conversations going on and what have you. Well, we missed that. One of the people from the rail called and said, we would like to meet with you to go over this property. And I said, that's fine, but we're in the middle of harvest. Could we wait till after November the 1st of 2014? He didn't say yes or no, but in the middle of November, here comes this big packet of the proposal, escrow to start, the new grant deeds, the whole ball of wax. And we weren't prepared for that because we had not met with the appraisers. We hadn't met with anyone. And here this proposal was. So I went through it and came up with about 50 questions that I submitted to the man that proposed that. And to this day, we're still working on that. In fact, he hasn't answered any of them. And so we're at a process right now, just on that one piece of property. There's 2 more pieces of property that we own that we're in the same deal. He's come out on one of them, but these appraisers are not familiar with farmland. They are not asking the right questions.
Okay.
And we have 4 other parcels that have long-term leases. And they don't know what we're talking about. And so the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. They don't know what they're doing. They're not professional in trying to get to a reasonable outcome on this.
Thank you very much. Are there others who would like to make a few statements?
Stan Philippe, and I'm from Hanford also.
If you can move the microphone closer to you so we can pick up. Thank you.
Third generation farmer. My grandfather come to this ranch in 1932, and I didn't know anything about the high-speed rail until last Thanksgiving. We went to my oldest son's house for Thanksgiving. The following day, we took off and went to Truckee. I got another son who lives in Truckee, and on the way back is when we started getting packets in the mail. Never expected this, never knew nothing, and finally a representative of the high speed came. He called himself real estate specialist or something like that. Was talking to me and my wife, and he told us that he understood what we were going through and how it was, but because he had a piece of retirement property also. And that's when we got upset and we said this was not retirement property. This is how we make our living. We've been there a long time, and so pretty soon I'm headed to court for public domain. And I got an attorney, and they finally pulled it because I didn't have any feed on this. They never asked me anything, never done nothing. Until Thanksgiving, we never even knew the train was there. So they came out, they finally staked the ranch. So now we have an idea where the train is going, and then since then they've come back, and I talked to 3 people. One is appraiser from Texas, which I don't think he's ever seen a pistachio tree, but anyway, I asked him, I says, I don't know how did they do this appraisal, who did it, and when did they do it? And he said he did it. And I said, well, how'd you do it? He said he was on the road with a pair of binoculars. They didn't have any idea where my well was, where my pipelines are, my return lines, my electric lines, or anything. They're going to cut 60 acres in two. I'm not going to be able to get water to the west end, and it's a problem. And they told me that they would buy that from me also. That would go into a land bank. Well, I'm not in business to. These trees are 3 years old. I didn't plant them so they go to a land bank so somebody else could buy it, and that money would go to the train. So that's what got me all upset. I haven't heard back from them, so I don't know what the appraisal is going to be or what they're going to do. But they didn't have any turn rails. There's just a lot of things they didn't have.
Sure.
And I'm talking to neighbors, and they're saying the same thing. I did bring, I'm not trying to bribe anybody, some of my product, and what I want you to figure, do you know how long it took to make that?
No, sir.
Pistachios. It takes 6 years before you get a crop. So this is not something that it takes a long time. Sure. And now I got some trees, 60 acres of trees, and a train's going through the middle. They're only 3 years old. It's going to take another 3 years before I ever get to this state, this part. So I don't have
sir. No. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
But it's something that they're doing. That what we need is water, and they don't want it. They don't want to get water, but they want to train.
Right.
Still pipes on the train tracks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would you like to make a comment, sir? State your name.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ross Browning. I live in Kings County, and I have a small ranch in Layton, California. I want to respond. Well, first, I want to ask. I'm here to ask this committee to please consider a positive vote or an affirmative vote on the audit. The audit is needed for many reasons. One of them is I've heard here today that the auditors, the appraisers have been following rules and regulations in place. I heard Mr. Morales say something along that line also. This is not true. A month ago, I sat with a neighbor of mine, asked me to be there as kind of a witness when we were in front of a group of auditors, not auditors, but the appraisers. And the subject came up, well, what are you going to do with my house? And they said, well, we think that it's uninhabitable and we think we're going to take it, but there is no definitive measurement on how close you have to be to the rail for us to take it. Now, we've heard up to 500 feet. The people in Fresno County were told. So they said, one of the gentlemen said, we have just hired a person whose purpose will be to come up with a policy on that issue. Now, here they have been taking property for I don't know how many months, certainly 2 years, and they don't have a policy on how close a dwelling, a residence has to be away from the train track before it's considered livable or not affected by the train. I called yesterday to ask. I said, I haven't heard a thing. I'm kind of concerned. My mother-in-law lives up just about 300 feet from the train. The lady's 93 years old, has lived there most of her life. I was told by one person, well, they've just come out with a policy and it's 300 feet. Okay. That person's boss got on the phone and said, well, the policy is out. And I said, well, when are we going to see it? Why not make it? Is this a secret? No, it's not a secret, but the policy's out, and there is no magic number. We'll determine that on a case-by-case basis.
Sure. Thank you very
I
much.
think an audit is needed.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to our members, committee members. Member Baker.
Thank you,
Comments?
Senator Vidak, for bringing this forward. I'm pleased to support this audit, and I hope we won't look at this as a vote on high-speed rail, because this is not what this is about. This is about a fundamental right that if the state is going to take your property, we better get it right. And it affects families, it affects generations, income, home, and so I'm pleased with the way this has been structured, so that it's not, do you like high-speed rail? I've got a long list of how I think the funds can be spent better. But what we really need to get right is what we're doing here with respect to the properties that this project is affecting, not only because it is a fundamental constitutional right that we have with respect to eminent domain and the responsibility of the government when it engages in that, but also because if we get it wrong, it's a permanent result. It's not like we can just give you the property back or compensate you, I think, in a way that will make you anywhere whole. So I am pleased to support this. Certainly urge my colleagues as well, regardless of the views about high-speed rail, to make sure that we get this process right as best we possibly can, and I strongly believe this audit will do that.
Thank you very much. Any other members? Senator Roth.
Well, I'm glad you clarified the issue with respect to the applicability of state law and taking and the right to hire your own appraiser and go to court to argue over the valuation of the property. It's my understanding that that process applies, sir? Yes. How many such cases have actually proceeded to litigation?
To date, none have. We have initiated, the eminent domain process can be initiated and negotiations continue throughout. The goal is to reach settlement without ever having to go to court. We've not had to go to court on any properties yet of the almost 200 that have been acquired.
And no litigation's been initiated?
No. We have initiated the proceedings that would lead to court if we are not able to reach settlement, but we have not actually entered into any litigation yet.
In how many of the cases have appraisers been hired by the other side?
I will have to, I'm not sure if we have that information. I will get back to everyone is entitled, as you indicated, under state law, and again, it's not a unique issue with high-speed rail. Anyone can request an independent appraisal, which is then undertaken at state expense. And we have had some of those. I don't have the numbers. I'd be happy to get those for you, for the record. So.
Well, I'll be supporting the audit request. I think it's important, given the sensitivity of this issue and the fact that folks' livelihood is at stake and the valuation that's attached to property is significant. And I'm not unmindful of the fact that typically the state would like to acquire the property for less, and the folks that have the property would like to have more, and there typically is a dispute. I'm a little bothered by the fact that there has been no litigation. I mean, there's some evidence that there's not much litigation, and we may not have a lot of appraisers hired on the other side, so I'm concerned about the educational piece here. And so I do think it's appropriate for the auditor to step in and determine for us whether the process that's being utilized is fair and effective and the communication is appropriate. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Member Jones.
For the high-speed rail, I just want to, the state or the high-speed rail authority has title to 200 pieces of property?
It's slightly, we're approaching 200.
Title and fee?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
This is a question for the authority. I am very, very familiar with what's happening with property values in the Central Valley because we were at ground zero when the housing crisis started. So a property that was worth such amount at one point in time is not nearly worth that now. So I am very concerned about property owners that might in fact even owe more on their property than it would be valued at today. So what if there is a scenario like that? How is that scenario treated?
And let me note, we have representatives from DGS and Public Works Board here who might be able to fill in on some of this. But basically, that is, again, part of the initial appraisal process where that can be taken into account. It is reviewed by DGS, Public Works Board, to look at those kind of issues to establish what the appropriate just compensation is for the property. And again, it can be evaluated independently by an appraisal at the owner's request, and ultimately lead to a jury trial if there's disagreement on the value and what the appropriate value is for the property. We have property owners have absolute right to receive just compensation. The balancing, of course, is from the public side. We cannot provide a gift of public funds, so the process is geared to find the balance in that process to ensure that property owners are treated as fairly as possible under the law and recognize the unique circumstances. Often what happens on the appraisals, and again, if any of you have ever been through an appraisal process, everyone's got something unique about a property. And through the engagement process, we can resolve those issues. And we have many, many examples where by engagement by the property owner, we've been able to work through very complicated, difficult situations. One business in Fresno that has very unique, it's a produce company, very unique equipment and things that no one else has, can't be replicated necessarily. We were able to work through all of those issues and come up with a very satisfactory outcome. So the process really is geared to work through those kind of issues as we go through it, and again, arrive at the end of the day at an appropriate level.
So if this audit were to pass today, would it delay the start of construction in part of this area? That help me to understand how this audit would impact what's actually happening today.
Well, as I understand the audit, and as we saw the request, it asks for specific questions, and I believe Ms. Howell suggested she might elaborate a little bit on those in order to provide a response. Again, we've been through, just recently been through an audit on this, on our federal compliance. We would continue through the process going forward. I don't believe it would have an impact going forward. It would ensure that we are doing the right things as we go forward. But we are proceeding. There are. I do want to point out, Mr. Toss in particular has absolute right to have concerns about his property, and again we'll work through the process, and he'll have his day in court if that's what he wants to proceed to. Just so the committee is aware, I do want to point out that Mr. Toss is a litigant against the project that predated the right-of-way process. So I do think that's important to note in this. But again, we will deal with his property issues on an individual basis and with all the protections provided under law.
Senator Galgiano, you complete?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next week, I think we have, I see no further comments from the committee. We're going to move to public comment. If you have any remarks that you would like to make, please line up to my left to the microphone, and you have 2 minutes to make those comments. This item has already been moved in second to move forward with the audit. Anyone would like to, from the public would like to speak? Going once, going twice. I see no public comments. We will close that section. Senator, you wanted to make one final comment?
Yeah, but if I'd like to, could Mr. Toss respond also, please?
I'm sorry? We're asking you to close.
Okay.
And then we're going to move strictly to the vote.
Okay, yes, I respectfully ask for your aye vote here. We are at ground zero here, and this is eventually all going to come to your districts as this project moves. This is one of the largest projects ever in the United States, and as this project moves, it will come to your districts, and we are at ground zero. We are seeing the inability with the authority to work with the folks, and I think this really needs to be looked at. And so for all those folks between Fresno and Bakersfield that are really having a hard time, like I said, we're ground zero, and I really ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much. We will move. A motion has already been made and properly second on this item. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Assemblymember Gibson?
No.
Gibson, no. Sargent? Aye. Sargent, aye. Baker?
Aye.
Baker, aye. Campos? No. Campos, no. Jones? Aye. Jones, aye. Nazarian? Rendon? No. Rendon, no. Senator Roth? Aye. Roth, aye. Bell? Cannella? Fuller? Galgiani? Lara? Laver?
We will keep that item on call. Next, we will have, I believe, thank you very much for your testimony. We will have now, as it's my understanding that Member Ridley Thomas will be presenting on behalf of Senator Hall. This is regarding the California Superintendent of Public Instruction, Inglewood Unified School District, item 2015-101.
Thank you.
Just one moment. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. Chair, members, thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of Senator Isidore Hall. I respectfully request the Joint Legislative Audit Committee approve the audit of Superintendent of Public Instruction's implementation of SB 533 by right from 2012 and the state's receivership of the Inglewood Unified School District. As you may recall, in 2012, the Inglewood Unified School District was facing fiscal insolvency. The legislature approved and the governor signed into law SB 533, which provided a $55 million loan, emergency loan to the district and placed the district under state receivership. It continues so today. The legislation also spelled out a pathway to help the district return to fiscal solvency, improve test scores, and help students of Inglewood find a pathway to college or a career. Unfortunately, the past 3 years have created more questions than answers on how the district will get back on track and ultimately return to local control. Since 2012, the Inglewood School District has been under control of two different state administrators and a state trustee. Various FICMAC reports have raised concerns about the district's short-term and long-term fiscal solvency. The senators met with many stakeholders to understand their concerns about transparency and community input process. Mr. Chair and colleagues, this audit is being requested for one reason. The taxpayers, students, and parents of the Inglewood Unified School District deserve to know how their tax dollars are being spent. In order for the Inglewood Unified School District to return to local control, we need to have the public confidence in the public process that is currently underway. You know that the senator has been working doubly hard to ensure that Inglewood Unified is restored to health. I represent a portion of the Inglewood Unified School District, and I'm quite concerned as well. With that, I would respectfully request your support of this audit.
Thank you very much. We'll have our state auditor, Ms. Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As Assemblymember Ridley Thomas indicated, the first objective that we would attempt to accomplish would be looking at the superintendent's role and the role in appointing and overseeing the district with respect to state administrators, and it's our understanding there was one trustee appointed, so there have been at least two district administrators through this process. First question is, how did the superintendent select those individuals that have been appointed to date, and what types of direction and supervision has the superintendent's office provided to the state administrators and the individual trustee? In addition, switching to the state administrators and the trustee, how have they implemented, as Mr. Ridley Thomas indicated, SB 533 in the intent of various sections of the Education Code? Three specific issues that they've asked us to address is the extent to which the state administrators and trustees have implemented substantial changes to the district's fiscal policies to try to bring it more towards fiscal solvency. So what things have the state administrators and the trustees implemented at this point in time? In addition, have the administrators and or trustee revised the educational program to reflect realistic income projections to improve educational quality for the students and for students to be successful? Another issue related to this, as Mr. Ridley Thomas indicated, is what have these administrators and or trustee done to reach out and engage in the community, reach out to teachers, school employees, and certainly parents in the community with respect to the nature of the engagement, what their actions have been to date, and what the expected and subsequent outcomes are with respect to the work of the administrators and the trustee. In addition, flipping back to the superintendent, making sure that the superintendent has properly compiled, prepared, obtained, submitted information to the legislature and other appropriate individuals and parties with respect to progress made with respect to Inglewood and the receivership. In addition, looking at any time frames that the superintendent of public instruction has estimated as far as being able to restore fiscal solvency to the district and get it out from under receivership. Two additional objectives related to students, the steps being taken to ensure student achievement and student success, and also whether or not the administrators, some of their past decisions, but certainly current and future decisions, are they sufficient to provide the students a quality education? Is there enough focus on the quality of the education? And then a final closeout objective is, to the extent possible, identify any other additional actions or additional steps that need to be taken to get Inglewood towards solvency and out from under the receivership, and making sure that the state administrator and the trustee are complying with the requirements of SB 533. The budget for this audit is 2,400 hours. That's about a 6-month project.
Thank you very much. Is the affected agency here, and we would like to invite you to the table to give your testimony? Thank you very much. Please state your name and the agency in which you're representing.
Yes. Good morning. Sue Vang on behalf of State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Torlakson. The superintendent has no opposition to this audit request. However, we would like to note a couple of things. Inglewood Unified School District is currently reviewed by 2 agencies right now. The first is the State Controller's Office, which has completed an annual audit for the 2012-13 fiscal year, and is currently in the district doing an audit of the 2013-14 fiscal year. And as well as the County Office Fiscal Crisis and Management Assistant Team, FCMAT, which began its annual comprehensive review of the district on April 8th. That review is a deficit analysis of the following areas: personnel management, pupil achievement, financial management, government and community relations, and facilities management. The superintendent believes that the district has made positive progress and believes that the state auditor's report, as well as the annual FCMAT review, will show the progress that the district has made. To minimize redundancy, we do request that the state auditor take into consideration the results of the FCMAT comprehensive review that is scheduled that's currently underway, and we expect that to be released in August of this year. If the committee approves the audit request, the department and district staff will work with the auditor to provide assistance and information that they request. And I have with me today Peter Fajato, Director of our School Fiscal Services Division, to answer any questions you may have.
We would ask the state auditor to take that information under consideration. Did you want to make a comment before?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Anytime my office conducts an audit, under standards, we are required to look at work that has already been conducted. We know FCMAT issued a report in July of 2014. We would look at that, and we would certainly take information related to the FCMAT report that will be issued in August under consideration as well with respect to the conduct of our work.
Thank you very much. Do you have comments you would like to make? No comments. Members, anyone have any comments regarding this item before us? Hearing and seeing none, is there anyone in the audience? This is a time for you to make public comments regarding this. We invite you to please line up on the left side, state your name, and make your comments. Is there anyone in the audience? Okay. Seeing none, members, is there a motion regarding this request before us? It's been moved and properly in second that we move forward with this audit. Okay. We will ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Assemblymember Gibson.
Yes. Aye.
Gibson, aye. Asajian. Asajian, aye. Baker? Baker, aye. Campos? Campos, aye. Jones? Jones, aye. Nazarian? Nazarian, aye. Rendon? Rendon, aye. Senator Roth?
Aye.
Roth, aye. Bell? Canella? Canella, aye. Fuller? Galgiani? Lara? Laver.
We'll keep that item open and on call. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.